Welcome to High Five. Normally at the start of High Five, Rory and I do a kind of high five across the screen, and we try to get the person.
And it always goes wrong.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I already did it, so I was out of time.
I think because we've got the Queen of Kindness here, it should be a high bow today instead of a high five.
Oh, thank you very much. I've never been called the Queen of Kindness until today, so thank you.
That's the title. There's the badge.
A crown.
I don't have a crown in my office. I've got everything else here. I've got like everything from like saws, paint, to monkey water bottles, but I don't have a crown. So just imagine the crown going in your head.
Okay. I have a Be the Ripple pen.
That'll do. Lovely. So we're joined by the wonderful Jo Suvarna that I've been and Rory's been. Well, we've both been really blessed to get to know over the course of the last 6 months, and it's.
Thank you.
You're nominated by us last week rather than by everybody else because we just love to have a longer chat with you about Be the Ripple and a card that we picked out for you in the set. And I'll just get this card here because I've got it in my pack somewhere. So this little card here, which is called Happy Your Year. And the card is about sharing the highlights of your calendar year with your teammates and what you've been up to and what you're looking forward to, I suppose, is the kind of the focus of that card. But before we do that, how the devil are you?
I'm really good, thank you. Yeah, really good. Kind of had a slow start to 2021, easing my way in after the manic ending to 2020. How about you guys?
Good. Very similar, Jo, and easing ourselves in. Definitely doesn't. This should have been London Toy Fair week for me, and that's obviously not going ahead. So I'm kind of missing that great week of play with new products and introducing them to people. But we're continuing to do some stuff, some exciting stuff coming from Scott and I as well. And yeah, I think everyone is just feeling a little bit kind of let's tentatively explore what's going on for the next 2 weeks and then find out what's going on after that, you know.
Yeah.
I feel like
I'm always glad to hear it's not just me or Scott.
I feel like in December, I took a giant block of ice from the freezer and I sat at my desk and it was slowly defrosting between December the 19th and about January the 4th. And then somebody suddenly put it back in the freezer and it was formed into a new shape. And I'm gradually just trying to find what that shape actually is. And I kind of resemble a bit of a mushed ice lolly at the moment, but by the time I get to January, it'll all be good. So that's kind of a summary of how I'm feeling at the moment.
I really like that analogy, and I think that's probably very like I've been feeling for the start of this year too. I thought I was going to be jumping in and raring to go with energy, but I think after last year, and we all had such a interesting year, shall we say, and challenging year, that I think, tentatively coming in with ease is a good start. So, yeah.
I feel like a melted mivvy at the moment, but I want to be a funny feet by the end of the month.
I don't know what a mivvy is, but I know a funny feet.
You must know what a mivvy is. It's like strawberry with vanilla ice cream in the centre of it. Oh, Jo, we need to get you a mivvy.
Sorry. I'll Google it later.
So you get
I think we'll use a toy analogy for your ice, Scott, and we'll just say, like Mr. Frosty, we just need to put some coloured food colouring on the ice. We'll just start making things really exciting.
I'm liking it.
Maybe it's quite a generational thing as well. So, and maybe it was a Scottish thing. Maybe you didn't get them in Welsh Wales.
Welsh Wales? No, I don't think we did. And if we did, I missed it somehow. But we did have Mr. Frosty. So I'll go with that one.
Yeah.
So sorry, Ryan, you go.
No, I'm just going to say that maybe have been missed in Ireland as well. So it is very much a Scottish thing.
Have you heard of an orange mean?
No.
That's another story about Northern Ireland, but let's not go there. This was the card, Jo, that we nominated you with, Happy Your Year. And normally in High Five, we talk about the last 5 days of learning.
Okay, I really need to hear this story.
The last 5 days of learning. What have the last 5 days, or last 5 months, I suppose, of learning been like for you and Be the Ripple? What are some of your highlights? If you were talking to your Ripple team at the moment, of your highlights of Be the Ripple for the last 5 months?
I'm finding it really hard to talk seriously now because you're with tears in your eyes. So yeah, so the last 5 months, oh my gosh, they've been a total whirlwind, really. If you think about the Wizard of Oz, when the house was picked up and swirling around, it's been pretty much like that, full of excitement, full of kind of where are we going next, where are we going to land, and I've got my ruby slippers on, I suppose. It's just so much has happened, as you know, and I mean, you were a big part of the last 5 months, because we ran three kind fests, sorry, one in the UK, two that were focused on the USA, which were incredible, absolutely amazing. And I know that probably most people have heard about them, or they've attended some of them maybe and seen the conversations, but I think what's the most special part of that is that 5 months ago, we probably didn't even know each other. Was it 5 months or 6 months? Anyway, it's within the last 5 or 6 months.
I think we met in July. And then
it was just when Scott was on holiday, you joined our first Cognitize Connect session, Joe.
That's right. So 5 months then, and if you think in that time to have 3 kind fests that we've done, I've been on your Cognitize Connect session, there's just been so much stuff happening there, and yeah, with regard to Be the Ripple, it's just, we had a team meeting yesterday, and it was just a look back on where have we gone since we started from 0 in May. There was nothing, it was just a spark of an idea. And there's just been so much stuff since then. Aside from the Kind Fest, there's been the collaborative blog. There's been Top Tip Tuesdays. We've had, oh gosh, what else have we had? We've done 3 different presentations. So we did a presentation at the Charity Learning Consortium for the Crown Prosecution Service, and also at the Behave 4 conference, which was behavioural economics. I'm trying to remember everything. A Kind Vent initiative that a couple of the team put together, which was sharing lovely images and quotes, which were really uplifting. We've had team collaborations where we've done a poem, and we've done something for Mental Health Awareness Day, and just all of these different initiatives and all these different things. And the learning from all of that is just massive. And I think one of the key things is how much kindness is out there, and how many people are willing to collaborate and to give their time freely, with the currency being kindness, to try and make the world a better place. So yeah, so I think that's probably the key of the learning, is about kindness that is out there, and the amount of amazing people that I've had the opportunity to meet and I've crossed paths with since I started Be the Ripple is just incredible.
I think you took the words right off my tongue there, Jo, about I think it was Sophia Baxter, we did the Kind Fest, that she used that phrase when she did a recording about kindness being a brilliant currency to trade in.
Yes.
And I remember her saying it, and I think I was conscious of the language of that. Hearing somebody else repeat it and somebody else talking about it, that maybe isn't in a commercial world but in an entertainment space, who still believes that as a principle, that I think it's I think commercial businesses could learn a lot from what you've done and what the team have done with the kindness movement, and how much prominence it's brought and how much voice it's brought into the space of kindness. And I think a lot of businesses could learn a lot from it.
Rory's back.
Oh, double Rory now. What's happened?
Hi, Rory. Thanks for joining us.
Hello.
It's one half was Rory and the other half was Kelly. I was wanting to know what the in-between space was. But you did tell us earlier on you had a Welsh middle name or something in your family.
Yes, you did.
No, so it's my oldest son has a Welsh middle name, which is Baron. I've been told, well informed, that apparently it was Welsh.
Baron.
But then again, my father-in-law was previously able to tell me that most things in the world were Welsh. Even things that weren't invented in Wales were pretty much invented in Wales, according to him.
I can go with that. I can understand that probably the inspiration came from Wales for everything along the way. Yeah, why not?
I just noticed when you said that Welsh middle name, it wasn't a generous, yes, definitely Welsh nod that Jo gave you. It was a...
That is actually,
confused,
that is twice now that I've had that look of, what is he talking about?
Just smile and wave, folks.
I don't know if you caught what I was saying there, Rory, when your signal dropped a wee bit, but I was just saying that the language that Jo used there about the currency of kindness, that I think commercial businesses could learn a hell of a lot by the way that you're growing that movement from May. I was speaking to a couple of businesses pre-Christmas about stuff, and we're talking about the question that was asked is how do you use kindness as a currency in business, and why are businesses not great at it sometimes? And I was saying because they ultimately turn it into a competitive thing, that they try to beat others rather than actually see it as something that if somebody copies it, it's a good thing. And the more that people do it, it's a good thing. It's not a competitive space, it's a collaborative space to exist in. And that's sometimes a little bit of a difficult space sometimes to exist in when there's other businesses that do a similar thing to what you do. But I think that's what's brilliant about what you've done. And those same businesses, when I was having a conversation, I'll say to them, are you familiar with Jo Suvarna? Are you familiar with Be the Ripple? They know you. They know the work that you're doing, and it's only been there since May, which is, I think, just honestly, I just think it's incredible. Because I know how tricky even from Rory and I's perspective, and doing Red Night and doing Cognitize, it's incredibly difficult to have a profile after a very short period of time in terms of what your business is. And he's left again. Like
he's gone again. He's had enough.
There must be a word that I'm using every time I say it. It just drops off. Is it?
Well, it's really interesting, your point around it being hard to replicate with businesses because there's this competitive space, because I think that something that really had an impact on me that I saw, only a little thought, was what we incentivize, we become. And I think even internally within organizations, there's a lack of kindness often, because what's being incentivized is individualized kind of targets and achievements. And it's not about the team, and it's not about the organizational win necessarily. It's looking at incentivizing individuals. And if you do that, then you're instantly taking some of the kindness out of the organization, out of the processes, and there's going to be that competitive spirit, as opposed to there being, we're all in this together, let's do this together and let's raise the profile. So yeah, it's interesting that you say that.
I think collective commitment, when I've done a lot of work with different organizations, is trying to get teams to recognize that any individual's goals isn't any more important than the team achieving its success. Is quite, again, it's quite tricky to get into that headspace. I know some businesses do it well, where they look at the teams driving their own objectives rather than being driven by the business, as long as it's focused on the whole business mission. That's how I think I view Be the Ripple. It exists in many different spaces in different ways and different ideas, but it's not about one single thing that's more important than something else. It's about the greater movement, about everything that you stand and you represent. So what's the future looking like then? If you talk about happy year 2021, have you got things in the horizon then that?
So we've got some things. As I said, we had the team meeting yesterday, so everyone's kind of in the process of putting our heads together as to what exactly are we going to do this year. But obviously, we've got a Kind Fest that's going to be happening again with yourself. So really looking forward to that, but we're giving ourselves a bit more planning time than we have done previously, because I know we were quite next month last year. Obviously, there's continuing the collaborative blog, Top Tip Tuesday, all of those sorts of things, which is great because I think that it gives a voice to anybody who and there is many different sectors that have been involved and so many different ideas that we can all learn from. So I think that's really lovely. And I'm really looking at setting something up which is addressing I think I've talked to you about this recently, Scott, actually, which is addressing how can we make it safe within organizations for people if something that isn't particularly kind that's happening in an organization, whether it's bullying, whether it's for somebody and not somebody else, how can we safely encourage people to speak up with a retribution? And that's something that I think is really important. And lots of organizations might have processes that are there, but if somebody speaks up, let's say it's your manager, for example, who's being really unkind towards you, being racist, whatever, then speak up about, you pretty much know that a few months down the line, that's going to be a problem. And I think that stops people from speaking up. So how can we actually tackle that, and how can we make it safe from the top down for everybody? And that's something I'm passionate about. So definitely there's going to be something around that topic, hopefully in the next few months.
I'm wondering whether there's also a virtual barrier to that subject as well, about, you know, if we were all in a face-to-face office space at the moment, you maybe have a safe space to go somewhere else and have an intimate one-on-one conversation with somebody who you trust and you can be completely honest with. There's a little bit of a difference in that when you're sitting in your own home and your family are sitting behind you and you're trying to have that honest conversation about how you feel, but maybe your kids are sitting in the background. It's a different, I'm not sure if it's difficult or easier, but it's certainly a different conversation that you're having when you've got those other ears and voices behind you than you would have if you were in a space that's work life and home life. And the lines that are blurred on those, it's interesting. It really is.
Yeah, you're absolutely right with the virtual thing, because if you take cases where if you're being treated unkindly by somebody and you're working online, then that's coming into your own home as well. So you haven't got the respite where you leave work, you leave the workplace, okay, that's over, you come home. That's kind of in all of your life then. So you've got a really good point there. But yeah, so I don't quite know how it's going to work, but definitely that's something that, you know, is one of the reasons that I started Be the Ripple, as anyone would know from reading the initial blog that was the catalyst. So it's something that I really want to try and tackle this year. But, you know, we're open to any ideas. So if you've got any, Scott, because Kindfest was your brilliant idea, so keep sending the brilliant ideas. Same for you, Rory. Any great ideas, keep them coming, because I think the whole point with this is that it's not set in stone. We haven't got anything that we're like, right, that's what we're doing, and nothing outside of that. I think it's all about bringing more kindness and taking away the unkindness. So even though the umbrella is kindness, it's got some very serious themes that are actually the foundations of that, which is, you know, the racism, the bullying, the unfair treatment, all of that kind of stuff. So it's not this fluffy, kind, you know, kind of thing. It's really based on a serious foundation.
I think that's why people are so receptive to Kindfest and Be the Ripple with you guys in particular, Jo, because as the cultures are clashing between digital and physical, and what we need to get back to will be a mix of both. I think kindness culture has never needed to be as fluid as it will be going into the rest of this year, because it needs to fill those spaces where negative cultures will exist. You know, there is going to be a cultural clash when we can finally all come back out of our homes and lockdowns and get back to places of work. And at those points in time, it will be the lessons that have cemented themselves now. And that idea that resilience can start with kindness, I think that's really going to help solidify some of the problems that can happen. So excited to see what you're going to do there.
Thank you. And I think you're right. And I think that self-kindness, I was having this conversation last week actually with somebody called Jane Harrison. I'm not sure if you know her. Scott, I think you know her from the pub quiz, HR pub quiz that we attend on a Saturday. She's a well-being coach, and she's just started an initiative called Wellbeing Wednesdays, where she's sharing stuff. And she and I were having a telephone conversation last week and saying that we think this whole thing, it starts with yourself. If you're not happy with yourself and you're not happy in life, then you're going to find ways to then be unkind elsewhere, whether that's something you go out to do or whether it's just something that happens. Then that's the thing. And Gethin, Nadine and I were talking about it recently as well, the same thing. So yeah, I totally agree with you. So it starts with ourselves.
There's a good space for listening and all of that. Just when you were saying about ideas for how something like that could flow, I mean, it's a conversation well beyond 5 minutes, but the things that are jumping into my head right away are at Kindfest, one of our guests at the UK Kindfest was Dr. Jo Tippett, who
yes,
talks about her principle of Ketso, and I actually think it's got I've got a lovely Ketso Connect session sitting right in front of
Okay.
me, a little micro kit.
The kit.
But
Bit of marketing there, Joe.
it's perfect for stuff like conversation space, because it allows everyone the equal space to share, rather than the loudest voice winning and all that group thinking kind of spilling out and being unproductive. And that's one of the things I really love about Ketso as a principle. It allows everyone an equal space to share, and it's about growth and having people that space to actually build their ideas and their thoughts and help other people in the right way. So I'm sure even just with ideas like that and building upon ideas like that, there's definitely something really productive that's going to flow from whatever the format is that you build from that, Joe. So anything that myself or Mr. R. Kelly there can help you with, then just give us a shout.
Thank you very much. And I'm glad that you mentioned Joanne's Ketso kit and communication and giving the space, actually, because I'd totally forgotten. We've got an event that's coming up on February the 9th. I'm just scrolling so I can find the details of it. It's on Eventbrite already, and it's a values deep dive, and it's in partnership with the Global Values Alliance and for World Values Day. And I know that, Scott, I've asked you whether you can kind of help us set the scene for that, because it's talking about Random Acts of Kindness Day. So it's linked with that, the kindness as a value. And that the session is running in a really special format, and that's all about making sure that people can all contribute and groupthink doesn't happen, and that so a thought is put out there, but it's not attributed to a specific individual. It's just, there's the thought and anybody can jump in that. So it's not a conversation between the person who had the thought and the next person. So it looks like a really interesting process that we're going to be doing, but it's really similar to what you're talking about there with Joanne Tippett's Ketso.
I do a big thing. I think the next 3 months in terms of virtual space that we're all working at, I think we've got to be really conscious of what kind of spaces we're holding people in there, because I really enjoyed the virtual stuff that we did last year, and I think the space that we ended up in by the end of the year was not the space I thought it'd be in March, obviously, and probably everyone watching this is probably the same. You've changed your businesses in quite remarkable ways. But I do think there's something about the current clash between vaccination, people losing their life still, and critical illness and everything that's going on, and people stressed and both looking forward to see what they might achieve by the summertime. There's a real space for that one-on-one, small group, intimate conversations to see where people are at and how you can help people to move forward, to make sure people are really being heard. And I think whatever we do as well, we cognitize, we're quite conscious of that as well. I still want to do the stuff that we did last year around Connect, but we'd also like to try to do something that's a bit closer and more one-on-one than it is presenting at people and speaking to people. It's speaking with people and more of a collective coming together and sharing and insight and just amplifying the listening to another level, really, in whatever format that we do that in. So, I'm looking forward to that over the next few months ahead of us, but I think it has to exist in the right space, because I think that's where a lot of people's workspace is at the moment. It's kind of quite just checking how things are and where we go next, and make sure we get the temperature of that right for everyone in the right way. So we ask you at the end of these high five sessions to pick a card and a person of who you'd like to nominate, and we never know what cards you're going to pick or who you're going to pick, so I'm quite fascinated to see what and who you choose.
Well, can I have a drum roll then, please? So I've got a digital set of cards, so it's on my phone. So I've chosen.
Oh, speculate.
Ooh, we've done full circle. I love it.
Nice.
So on this card, have you got a copy of it there?
Yeah, I'll just find it.
You.
There you go.
So on this card, it says, hand this card to a colleague and pose a what-if statement to a workplace challenge, e.g. what if we had to change tomorrow? What if we put ourselves in the client's shoes? Or what if we had unlimited resources? Now, yesterday, as I said, we had the Be the Ripple team meeting, and it was really lovely to see everybody and to chat to everybody. It's the first time we've got together in 2021. And Steve Brown, who I know you know,
Yeah.
Again from the HR pub quiz, he's one of the champions, and he's just such an amazing person, and he's going to be looking at the strategy for Be the Ripple for 2021, which is fantastic because he's so experienced, he's such a kind person, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what comes from that. So the speculate to accumulate, really, I'd love to see what he would do if there were unlimited resources. What if? And maybe not if unlimited resources, maybe just if there were unlimited possibilities, what would he choose to do with Be the Ripple specifically? So
I'm slightly tempted to say he would get a range of tie-dye t-shirts with llamas on the front of them.
well, that would be the first thing, obviously, for all of us.
But that's brilliant because yeah, I haven't known Steve that long, honestly, and got to know him a bit better through Kindfest as well. And he's a guy I've got a great admiration for, and the work that I've seen he's done as well. So I'm looking forward to discovering a lot more about Steve than what I know already about him. And I don't think, Rory, you've met Steve before. I'm not sure if you have.
I haven't met him yet, but I did get to hear him, obviously, at the US Campfest when I logged in. So that would definitely be a great chance to hang out and hear more.
And you have a llama game, don't you?
I do have a llama game, yeah.
Was
I might even be able to play llama.
Yeah.
No, it is just called Llama. So it's a little card game that did win Children's Card Game of the Year. So we may have to just play that, but shamelessly plug it. I think I thought I had one somewhere to hand. Somewhere there is one.
Well, that's unfortunate. You can't just reach for it.
I know, and it was on the table. That's the worst. No.
Never mind. We'll have to make do. To Steve, don't worry. We'll have the llama game in front of us when we get.
We will definitely, and we will get one out Steve's way.
We managed to grab you next. Jo, thank you very much for spending time with us this afternoon. We should bid you farewell with a final high five.
Thank you very much. Lovely speaking to you guys.
Thanks, Jo. Bye.